Okay, so welcome to today's session. Today we're going to be talking about speed work and hill work. And I'm here together with James, who is a very talented marathon runner and a World Guinness record holder. So, James, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So I'm from England, but I live in Taiwan. Currently back in England right now, though. So I mostly do half marathons. I'm a 70-minute half marathon runner, but I've raced everything from 800 meters up to a marathon distance as well.
Perfect. So we'll dive right into today's topic then. So, James, what is interval training?
Yeah, so interval training is basically short periods of high intensity effort separated by a short recovery or low intensity phases. So for instance, some of my go-to training sessions are 10 lots of 400 meters with 60-second recoveries, or 8 lots of 800 meters with 90-second recoveries, 5 lots of a kilometer or 1,000 meters with 90-second recoveries, or 4 lots of 1,600 with 400-meter jog recoveries. Typically, you'll want to be running between 1 minute to 10 minutes per repetition, with 1 to 3 minutes of recovery in between each set as well.
And why would you say that interval training is so effective?
So one of the key things with interval training is it kind of maximizes the time spent at or near your VO2 max, which is the key zone for improving your aerobic power. So obviously, when I was new to running, people would be throwing all these terms at me, and I didn't have a clue what it meant. So when I say VO2 max, that's basically the maximum or the optimum rate for your heart, lungs, muscles, to effectively deliver and use oxygen during your exercise. So it essentially gets your body to adapt and become more efficient with that. And it also helps your body to improve to clear lactate as well, which is particularly in races when you're running at fast pace, or running longer. The longer into the race you go, the more tired your legs will become, and once you kind of hit that lactate threshold, it can then be difficult to maintain your pace. So this helps with that, and as a consequence of that, it also delays the onset of fatigue. So essentially, it helps to build your speed and your endurance by training the cardiovascular and the muscular system to handle greater workload more efficiently.
Perfect. How do you feel when you start to feel like the lactate is building up, and how do you know that it's effectively working?
Yeah, so one of the easiest ways to kind of explain that is, when a lot of new runners first do interval training, and they're really new to it, your first few reps, the first few laps that you do, most commonly, a lot of runners will go way too hard and way too fast for the first few. And once your legs then start to feel really heavy, there's not really much you can do about that. You can't really then recover. And that's down to the lactic threshold, that the lactic in the muscles. But then once you kind of build that, maintaining the same pace throughout your session, so not like starting too fast and then absolutely dying at the end. You maintain the same pace throughout, and then as the weeks go on, this isn't something that you're going to feel the benefits of immediately. It might be an 8 to 12 week training program, of consistent training, doing your interval sessions, and then as you progress through those 8 to 12 weeks, you will start noticing that your legs will feel a lot fresher, and you can last a lot longer with these sessions before that kind of fatigue and tiredness takes over.
Perfect. And like, what would you, because there are two types of interval trainings, right? There's the VO2 max intervals and threshold intervals. So would you be able to break these two down and explain what the main difference is?
Yeah, so the VO2 max intervals, that's pretty much where you're running at 90 to 95% of your maximum heart rate. So the purpose of the VO2 max intervals is that will help to increase your aerobic power. So that's your body's capacity to deliver and use oxygen. So these sessions tend to be a little bit shorter than your threshold intervals. So shorter, but also faster. So you're looking perhaps 1 to 3 minutes, or, up to 5 minutes of effort per rep. So, going back to what I said, were my kind of go-to sessions, things like 10 lots of 400 meters, or 8 lots of 800 meters. So shorter, faster sessions. So that's your VO2. They'll feel hard. Again, one thing that I was saying, a lot of new runners doing interval for the first time, your first couple will feel easy. So you might be tempted to think, oh, I can go a little bit faster. I can go a little bit faster. But then by the time you get halfway through the session, you're really struggling to hold on to that. Yeah. And, it's one of them. Yeah. So you're going to be, pushing yourself really to your limits there. And yeah, in terms of your recovery, it can be something like equal to your effort. So if, for instance, you're doing 800 meters, I would typically be doing it at 230. Sometimes 220, sometimes 240. Depends on how many repetitions I'm doing. But you can do equal amount of recovery to the amount of effort that you're putting in. So if I'm doing 230s, you can have a 230 recovery. But what I'd like to do myself is I tend to go for the shorter recoveries. So I will tend to have 60 seconds to 90 seconds recovery, because that will help. One of the things that will help with is it will ensure that you're pacing yourself a bit better. Your recovery time's not as long, so you're not going into each rep feeling completely fresh. So that will keep you more at a steady pace as well. And obviously in races, you're not going to have 3 to 5 minutes to recover in between, like when you're running. So it kind of helps with that recovery rate, as improving your recovery rate. So that's your VO2 max. And then your lactate threshold intervals, that tends to be more, 80 to 90% of your heart rate. So rather than 90 to 95, it's a little bit lower. And these tend to be your more longer sessions. So, you might be looking at 8 to 20 minute intervals. So 3 lots of 10 minutes at threshold pace, with a 2-minute jog recovery in between. And then, so the benefits of this one is that improves your aerobic efficiency and helps you to sustain your race pace. So, VO2 max intervals, as I was saying, if I'm doing 800 meters, I'll be looking at 230 per kilometer, per 800. Yeah, so 230. And then if I'm doing a kilometer, I'll be going at about 3 minutes per kilometer. But my half marathon pace is 3:20. So, it's going a bit faster than your race pace. Whereas these threshold sessions, tend to be a little bit closer to your race pace, and that helps you to sustain that race pace.
If you enjoyed this conversation and want to take your training to the next level, you can watch the full 30-minute interview completely free. We go even deeper into how to structure your week, balance VO2 max, threshold and hill sessions, and recovering like a pro. And if you're after some fresh running gear that looks as good as it performs, head over to NordicTigon.com. We design everything ourselves to help you move better and feel faster. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Your support really means a lot to us.